Hello internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind creation, Miss Couture. In this episode of In the Dye Pan, we are going to try to color match. So I went into my organization app where I can pick and choose colors, which I will show you with a screen recording in a minute. And we will try to recreate the color of a chestnut. So those warm browns and rich deep tones, and we shall see if I accomplish this. So let's get into this. So the application I'm using is Milatone. There's a web version, there's an app version. If you have a tablet or a phone, you can use it on this. So I'm picking the colors directly from my inspiration photo. And from those colors, I will be selecting my dye powders in the basement, and it's more orangey. And honestly, I think what I did was going a little bit darker than those chestnuts there. So, as usual, we will be prepping our pan by adding acid to it and adding 9 cups of tap water to the pan. I personally prefer to start with room temperature water. In this case, it's quite cold because it's winter here. The only reason I prefer to start cold is to allow the dye to penetrate a little bit further into the skeins before we apply any heat. So it will help to have an even color distribution in your skein of yarn. Obviously, if you want to have a quick strike of the dye, you can always start with warm water. Just make sure that you warm as well your yarn into the pan at the same time, just so you don't create like temperature shock, and you don't, because we don't want to felt the yarn. So it's especially true when you have non-superwash yarn or if you have fibers. So this is why we start with room temperature or cold water. So now we will be starting to apply our colors. We're going to do the first side, and you can see that I have bigger container than usual. That's because since I'm using the same color twice, so once on each side, we will be, like, I will need technically double the amount of dyes. So that way I did it in those big jugs. Of the total of those jugs are 9 cups. I bought them at the dollar store, so I'm pretty sure you can just buy those cheaper plastic pitchers there at pretty much, I'm pretty sure they're there all year long. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure because I bought them in the summer. Anyways, so we've applied the first color, which is, oh great, I don't remember and I didn't take that note. I'm sorry, my friends. So the first color is like a yellow golden color. The second one is fawn, which is I'm pretty sure it's fawn, which is a brown, obviously. And then we have like this darker chocolate brown here. And you can apply the yarn, the color on the yarn, the way you want it to be. So we could have done a dip dye here. We could have done like stripes of colors and try to create this like gradient within the skeins. There's so many options that we could have gone. So maybe I will try to use the same colors and then, but use a different technique for an upcoming video. If it's something that you would be interested, just let me know in the comments, and we shall see what we can do. So we'll let it cook for at least for a good 15 minutes so that the color can strike to the yarn, and we will be flipping the yarn in about 15 minutes. So see you soon. Alrighty, so it's been about 15 to 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just check what the color looks underneath. And if we have a good color absorption, if we're happy with how much yarn has been dyed properly. So you can see that there's still like quite a bit of colors, but this could easily be some like pockets of dye that were stuck between the skeins, because you can see it on the top where my fingers were. There's like this little pockets of water and dyes. So this could be one of those pockets that didn't had a chance to properly be distributed through the yarn. So I'm just going to speed this little section a little bit because it would be quite boring, but we've waited a bit longer, like 5-10 extra minutes, and I'm happier with how much dye has been like struck to the yarn. So we're going to be flipping it now because there's some colors that will just take longer no matter what, and that golden yellow that we applied in the first place is most likely the culprit here, because the other colors that I've used, I don't usually have that problem to get them to strike to the yarn. So we're just going to flip it, make sure that we have the naked yarn on top, so that way we can add the colors where we want it to be applied. And we're going to be repeating the exact same steps we've done in the first on the first side of the yarn. So adding that yellow first, which I think is golden olive or olive straw. I feel like there's olive in the name. Anyways, so our fawn, and then will be, and you can see that the colors doesn't like spread as much as in on the first flip, and that's normal because there's more liquid, so it has a tendency to stays a little bit more where it is. And then we'll be adding our chocolate brown. Making sure to distribute that dye through it. And now we need to wait another half an hour for the color penetration. So we will let it cook for another 30 minutes and we will be back. So it's been half an hour and you can see how lighter the color is, and that is because the color has been absorbed through the yarn. It's kind of magical to see that happens. I should do a time lapse at some point of like the color absorption because it can be quite interesting. So now that we've done this, what I was thinking is adding some speckles to kind of remember those like veins. I don't know if veins is the proper word, but like on the top of the chestnuts, you can see those little veiny thingy. And I just want to try to kind of have this on the yarn. So I'm going to be twisting the skeins and adding some speckles on it. So that way you can see what I mean. Like, I think it's going to create a fun effect. And it's going to add a little pop of je ne sais quoi. So that's what we're going to do. So let's twist. So for consistency purposes, if you're doing like twist like this, count them. And so that way you can do the same number of twists into each skeins. So that way you have the same amount of resist in each skeins, so you will have a better consistency when it comes to your speckles into your skeins of yarn. This is how I do it, but you don't have to do what I say or do. You find what speaks to you. That's what I'm trying to say. And something that I like to do as well is just make sure to like not have too much pressure into the skeins, so you can have a nice repetition of the speckles through the top of your skeins. And if you want, you can also do that on another twist. Like you can detwist those and retwist them on the other side, so you can have like on both sides of the skeins you can have like speckles. However, I do like this technique best because I feel that you don't have too much speckles when the speckles are not the focal point of the yarn. So after applying the speckles, we will again let it cook for half an hour, and then we will wait for all the color to absorb in the pan off the heat. And so that usually takes about 45 minutes to make sure that all the colors is that. And then when it's cooled down, we will be washing the yarn. So we shall see you whenever that is. So it's the next day and it's time to wash the yarn. So I'm sorry about the poor light. It's the sun is not very friendly lately because it's winter, as I mentioned multiple times, which means that the sun comes up later in the day, so the light in the basement is just, it is what it is. We will do what we can with what we have. So we'll be washing this yarn. So my expectation here, so the brown and the yellow that were used, I know it shouldn't bleed or anything. However, since we used the orange speckles, I know that will absolutely bleed a little bit because that color always bleeds with me. No matter what I do, there's always a little orange tint to the water when I'm cleaning up the excess dye in the skeins. So I know for sure that we will have a tiny bit of bleeding occurring just because of that. So you can already see it in the bag. And sometimes the chocolate brown does also bleed a tiny bit, depending on if there was not enough heat or not. But the orange that I use always bleed. Always, always. So there's always a tint, that's for sure. So we will be washing it. So I'm speeding up this process because it's taking forever to wash those speckles. And and I also knew there would be bleeding because when I took out the yarn from the pan, I could see some dry patches of dry powder. So there was a clump of dry powder. So I knew there would be more work to do to remove this, unfortunately. That's just part of the job, right? And the color that bleeds most of the times, usually like reds, pinks could bleed a bit. Neons will always bleed no matter what. Well, no, that's not true. If you have very small amount of it, you should be fine. Blues can bleed quite a bit too. So this just comes with experience in working with the dry powders that you have at home to know which one will bleed and which one won't be bleeding. So it all comes down to time and just experience. So I'm pretty sure that was the last kind of resting bath for this yarn. After that, we will put it in a spin dryer, which is a good investment if you are a small business owner. Is it pricey? Yes, but I love it so much. It helps to dry the skeins so much faster. And you can see that the darkness it was not bleeding, it was just my basement. This is where I dye yarn, and it's dark. So in the spin dryer, and we shall see the results. So here is our final result. You can see those beautiful orangey speckles. I will put the little color inspiration. So basically, the speckles represent those little veiny thingy that I was mentioning. I think I did a pretty decent job. I captured the warmth of the chestnut, that's for sure. Could I have been doing it a slightly lighter? Maybe. Maybe I could have put a little bit more yellow into it instead of so much brown. However, I really like the warmth of this color. I feel it could do such a lovely I don't know. I feel like it reminds me of a grandpa sweater. Like one of those 70s and 60s grandpa sweater. I don't know. That's the vibe I'm feeling from this chestnut color. There's a lot of warmth, lots of lovely lush colors, jewel tones in it that I really enjoy. So I don't know. I think I did. I think I nailed it. I really like the color. Now you're the judge if you think this looks like a chestnut or not. Personally, I think it does. But I hope you've liked this video. If you have color combination requests, leave them in the question box. Is it a question box? No, it's a comment box. In the comments section, you're more than welcome to leave color combination, and I will probably try to get to it in the next few weeks, months. I will get to it at some point. So, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, please consider liking, sharing the video, and if you would like to follow along the journey, well, you're more than welcome to subscribe. And thank you again for watching. And I will see you soon. Bye.